everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Crimson Flower and with me today I have Allie. And Allie, I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name's Allie. I'm 34 years old. I'm from Canada and I started polyphasic sleeping, I believe, in February of 2018.
Okay, and the situation is that you've been adapted to your schedule for quite a long time, isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so have you been on this schedule ever since February until now? So 1 year and 10 months?
Yes.
Oh, that's very cool. It's very nice to see that some people are able to actually stick to their schedule for a long time. But okay, do you have any other type of polyphasic experience, or is this the only schedule you've been on?
This is the only set schedule I've ever been on. When I was in university, I didn't sleep in very good patterns and basically went through adaptation without really realizing. But it was never intentional or set or anything like that.
Okay, how long were you on adaptation when you were in university?
A good while, like over a month. It was not a good or healthy system. So I don't recommend doing that without researching a schedule and figuring out exactly what you are doing.
Yeah, I understand that completely, for sure.
It wasn't with the intention of adapting to anything. It was just like I had no time to sleep and had to cram so much in, so.
Okay, that's also very interesting to hear. It's the same thing that happened with Perdoxic when she adapted to Uberman. She was forced to sleep in a nap-only schedule in order to be able to, finish school. So
yeah.
Okay, so that's apparently something common that happens for women who sleep polyphasically. Sure. Why did you choose the schedule? And can you tell the people listening which schedule you're on right now?
So I'm on E3 Extended, and the original plan was to start with E3 Extended and then cut down to E3, which I never ended up doing because I feel like for me, E3 is just a little too light on a core sleep. I have a pretty active lifestyle and I own horses, so I just felt like I never even tried it, so I don't know if it's accurate, but I felt like it wouldn't have been very sustainable after I had adapted to E3 Extended.
Yeah, sure. That sounds completely fair. It's the experience of many people that when they're partaking in a very active lifestyle, they need to have a longer core for that. So it sounds like a very smart move on your part. But let's talk a bit about why you started sleeping polyphasically now. What was the reason why you wanted to sleep polyphasically?
There was a few reasons. One of the main reasons was I felt like work was such a big portion of my day that I was kind of getting cheated out of life. Like you would sleep, and I was never really an 8-hour sleeper, but I would sleep like 6, 7, 7.5 hours, and then I would work 8 hours, and there's not a lot of day left for yourself, and there's a lot of things to fit into that period of time. And the secondary reason is, as I'm sure a lot of my generation and a bit younger know, like having a full-time job doesn't really cut it anymore, and trying to have a side hustle when you're sleeping 8 hours and already working 40 hours a week is nearly impossible if you want to have any sort of leisure time or time for hobbies or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that like, what have you done with the time you gained from polyphasic sleep? Are you using it for yourself, like some sort of self-care, or are you putting time into a side hustle, or what are you doing?
A bit of both. So I live in a small city, so it is a bit of a challenge to use my morning core. I do flex my schedule quite a bit now that I've been adapted, but my morning core is, 4-ish in the morning, and my nap one is around 7-ish. And there's not a lot of things I can do in that time period as far as like I can't go grocery shopping because there's no place open. I could go to the gym, but I prefer to go to the gym late at night because it's very busy in the morning. So basically I have to stay in my house and either work on things that are on my computer, or I do tend to use my core to nap one time as my self-care and leisure time. Like I'll play my piano, or I'll watch Netflix, or, have a bath, just relax.
Yeah, that sounds very nice to see people put time into themselves for once and not just be like working robots. That's very cool to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about your adaptation a bit. I recall you adapting pretty quickly to your schedule. Was it like 27, 28 days?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's a very fast adaptation. What was the biggest struggle in it?
I don't know if it was really a struggle. I was very, very, very strict with my adaptation. I think that's why it was so fast. Like, I was not even a minute late for a nap. It was the priority at that time. Nothing was more important than making sure I had that set schedule.
Okay, sure. And you talked about you being able to flex your sleep times now. When did you start flexing them and how far are you able to flex them?
I was forced to start flexing them because I do compete with my horses. So when I'm at a horse show, I can control my core easily because there's nothing really going on at that timing. But I was forced to flex my naps because you get ride times and you can't just be like, oh no, that's during nap too. So you have to kind of make it work. And I do find if I flex my core more than about 90 minutes, I often will extend one of my naps. I'm not sure why it is, but if I move my core too much, maybe it's like the SWS gets disrupted and I don't get as good quality. So I find extending one of my naps from 20 minutes to 90 minutes later in the day helps get back in sync.
Okay, sure. That's a very interesting thing that you're saying. And when you're flexing the naps, are you like taking them just any time or are you keeping them within a certain interval of your set sleep times?
There's no interval maintained. I do my best to get close to the original nap time. But again, when you have no control over your schedule, you just kind of make it work.
Yeah, sure. And when these things happen, do you feel like you're sort of more lethargic than usual, or are you more tired, or is your performance at all impacted by the flexing?
I don't think so. I mean, it's kind of hard to remember everything, but I must have felt like it was a little bit of a disadvantage for a bit, and that's why I would often extend one of my naps to wake up for it or make up for it. But always, even if I flex my naps or core after waking up from a 20-minute nap, I'll feel more refreshed than when I fell asleep.
Okay, that's very cool to hear. And how was it like to adapt? Do you feel better than when you were sleeping monophasically at the moment, or do you feel worse or about the same?
Better. I used to always I just thought I wasn't a morning person and chalked it up to that. I would stay tired after waking up for like a good long time. And like, if I woke up an hour before work, I'd still be just feeling heavy-eyed and kind of fatigued and blah for an hour to 2 hours once I got to work too. And I find with polyphasic sleep, when I wake up from my core, I am awake from that point, and same with the naps. Like, I don't have that lingering blahs for hours afterward.
Okay, so you're feeling like a polyphasic sleep schedule is maybe more healthy, or you're at least feeling better on it than when you were monophasic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's also very cool to hear. How was it like how has polyphasic sleep changed your life? How have you been able to use this time for your advantage, and what have been the disadvantages?
I feel a lot less stressed because I do feel like I have more time. Again, going back to the 8-8 split, so that's 16 hours of your day. It only leaves you 8 left, but in that time you have to also do things like cook meals and eat meals. So by the time you get down to how much time is actually for you, it's almost none. And by alleviating that kind of time stress, I feel less stressed out. Like, if I want to watch a movie, it doesn't cut into most of my free time for that day.
Yeah, for sure. When you're in a working job, your time is really restricted, and I think it's really cool to hear that you're able to like be less stressed because you're sleeping polyphasically.
Yeah, and I guess the disadvantage, it's not really a big disadvantage to me. I'm not an incredibly social person where like going out every night is important to me, or visiting with other people or stuff like that, because I have my full-time job, and prior to that I was in university, and then I have horses and they take a lot of time and care and time to exercise. I haven't had a big priority on my social life in a while. I guess a lot of people, that would be their biggest challenge, because for example, my nap 3 is basically right after I finish work. So if people wanted to go out and do something immediately after work, nowadays it's not such a big deal because I am adapted and I do flex down to 2 naps sometimes as well. So basically down to an E2 schedule. But I try to keep the 3 naps in there so that I can move things around without upsetting too much of the system. But I would have to decline. And when I was adapting, like if anyone wanted to do anything after work, it was like, no, you have to wait for me to go home and have my nap, and then like we can talk about it. But
Yeah, sure. Did you ever like sleep in your car or in your work in order to be able to hang out with people during the adaptation?
no, I work like 3 kilometers from my house, so it's less than 5 minutes for me to leave, like from standing in my work to standing in my house. So that I'm very lucky for, and I know a lot of people don't have that same kind of setup. And then when I compete with my horses, I usually have a trailer with me that has a bed up in the front. So even if I'm staying at a hotel room, I'll have a trailer somewhere nearby, parked somewhere where I can just duck out and go have a nap in the front.
Sure thing. And how do people react to your schedule, especially when you're on the horse races? Like, do they notice you disappear for 20 minutes and then just arrive and feel like you can take on the world since you've had a powerful nap, or how do people around you
No,
react?
I think first of all, people in general are a lot more self-absorbed than you think. You think everyone's always noticing everything about you. But as you kind of go through life and get older, you realize that everyone's pretty much into their own business and doesn't really care. And as far as horse shows, like, it's least noticeable there because there's people coming and going at all times. Everyone rides at different times. Everyone's doing things at different times. So nobody notices me going out for 20 minutes. It's like someone going to grab a coffee and going for a little wander around. And my work people, they all know I sleep this way. And I think that was one of your questions. We can touch on it now. I
Sure.
extended my workday by 15 minutes on each end to have a bigger time at lunchtime to fit in a nap. So, I just told them about it, like why I was doing this and why I wanted to extend my workday and why I wanted a bigger break in the middle of the day, and everyone was fine with it. And some people reacted a little bit funny, like, oh, that doesn't sound healthy. But it's just their knee-jerk reaction without actually researching anything, as people like to do. And my boss that I work for is actually one of those people who's like, you can't sleep less than 9 hours. I need like 9 or 10 hours every night, and there's no exception. And I could never do something like that without even ever giving it a try, so...
Yeah, for sure. Have you been able to persuade some of these people to start sleeping polyphasically, showing with example? You feel great, so maybe these other people also want to feel great.
I think people kind of watch from the outside and are envious that this is a possible thing, and that basically my schedule allows me, I think 19 hours. I don't know exactly. Because I sleep for 5.5, so 18 and a half hours over their time of wakefulness, which when they're sleeping, they're telling me they're sleeping 10 hours. Now they only have really 6 hours of non-work time if they're working an 8-hour day, 5 days a week.
Yeah, and they also have to travel to work and all this.
Yeah, so I think they look from the outside and they're like, oh, that seems so good, but it would never be possible for me because they're just unwilling to even really try.
Okay, so you're stuck with people who agree with your lifestyle, but they are themselves interested in testing it out.
Yeah, it was met with a lot of skepticism when I was starting. and a lot of like, you know how people ask you like, how's it going, or how's that thing going, but they're expecting you to fail and you can just tell. So I got a lot of that. And then when I came out the other end, it would be like, oh, are you still on that thing? Because I wasn't tired anymore. And then now that it's been so long, yeah, people just seem to want it from the outside, but don't know anything about it and aren't going to get started down the road.
Okay. Well, that sounds interesting, but it's also a shame that you didn't get your whole workplace to start sleeping polyphasically. But hey, what can you do?
No, I mean, my boss specifically is really set that she needs 9 to 10 hours of sleep, like you need to breathe oxygen. It's not negotiable. So, and then other people, I don't know. She has a husband who kind of, I think, unintentionally sleeps polyphasically, but he doesn't follow any sort of a schedule, and he ends up like falling asleep after work, and then he's up at 2 a.m. for the rest of the day, and he's just a mess. And I have suggested to him several times, like, why don't you just get a schedule, and then you won't be like eyes rolling back of your head, out of control, having to sleep right now. And then still he only sleeps like small cores and all this other stuff, but he doesn't do the naps throughout the day, so he just ends up crashing.
Yeah. The random
Some
schedule
people
is
aren't willing to change, so.
Yeah, random schedule isn't really healthy, and I think that's a great example showing it. Like, he's crashing throughout the day and not taking naps. It's not a good thing to do, for sure.
No, yeah.
Okay. Have you changed your lifestyle in any way in order to accommodate a polyphasic schedule?
Other than altering my work schedule a little bit, not really, because like I said, I wasn't super involved in social things prior to that. That will be a big change for some people, I think, who want to adapt. If they're used to hanging out with people all the time before and after things, it takes a little finagling. And as far as other lifestyle changes, I mean, over 2 years, obviously, things have been changed and played with. I think I was on keto shortly after I started adapting, and I'm not right now, but I have been back and forth over the period of time. So I wouldn't say there's any like specific huge change that I had to modify and keep to allow me to sleep polyphasically.
Okay, well, it's really interesting that you're talking about the keto. How have you been able to like get back into it when you're on a polyphasic schedule? Has it been difficult in any way, or has it been like easy? Have you gotten these keto flus, and how have you like succeeded with it? Has it affected you in any way?
Well, like, I'm not on it right now, so it's a difficult long-term thing for me. I find a plan like keto is very time consuming because there's very few things you can just grab and eat. You have to basically pre-prep everything and have it kind of ready, and it's a lot of time to put into. And then when I'm traveling, it makes it even more difficult. And I have a bit of a thing where if I'm going to pay to eat out at a restaurant, I find that's the hardest time to keep on keto. Because you don't want to pay and get like a grilled piece of meat and some boiled veggies. Or at least I don't. I'm like, if I'm going to pay X dollars for this, I want to enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's usually when it all falls apart. And traveling makes it like really difficult, because then you get sick of pepperoni sticks and cheese strings after a while, and everything else requires pre-prepping and a lot of forethought. So I don't know if it'll ever be like a permanent life change for me. I do like it, and I do find when I'm on keto, I don't find it really changes my sleep at all. But it really levels out your energy level, which is probably the best part of it.
Okay, so you've been able to get in and get out of keto without any problems while you're sleeping polyphasically, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, keto flu is a thing, but if you get your electrolytes in, it really reduces that problem. So
okay, well,
I wouldn't
that's
say
good
it's a huge problem.
Okay, sounds cool. And how has polyphasic sleep affected your dreaming?
I have been a like lucid avid dreamer for a long time, since I was quite young. But with polyphasic, definitely I can dream a lot more in a sleep, and definitely I can recall a lot more. But as far as like the vividness and that aspect of the dream, it's about the same.
Okay, do you dream in your naps or is it only during the core?
Yes. I dream in my naps. I've always been a little weird in my naps. I was concerned about it at first. I often will wake up halfway through, like not quite halfway, 6 to 8 minutes into my nap. I don't know why. I'll just open my eyes briefly and be like, oh, it's still nap time, and fall immediately back to sleep. And I can be back in REM sleep, I found, in less than 3 minutes now. And I do often experience big time dilation in my naps. And I'll feel like I've been sleeping for like 6 hours in like 10 minutes or less. It's really weird. You get used to it after a while, but it's really weird at first because you wake up and you almost like start to panic and you're like, what did I sleep through? I'm supposed to be back at work. Where am I? What day is it? And then you realize it's only been like 8 minutes. It's a very strange feeling. And you can have dreams that feel like a whole day worth of dream in that period, or at least I can. So it's very confusing at first and a super strange feeling. And you felt like you laid down for a nap and now the whole day is gone and you didn't go back to work. And but it's not the case. So.
Yeah, it sounds really crazy, and that seems to be the experience of people too. But do you have this time dilation issue anymore, or was it only like during the adaptation and a short while after you had adapted?
I think it still feels like often in my naps that I was sleeping for a lot longer than I was. But I don't have the confusion and panic associated with it now because I understand that just because it felt like the dream was 6 hours long doesn't mean I was sleeping for 6 hours, so it's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Are you like feeling as if your day was maybe 32 hours long or 40 hours long at the moment? Has the duration of the day increased since you started sleeping polyphasically?
Huh. I've never really thought about that. I guess post-adaptation, obviously, it feels like the day was extended. Because during adaptation, there was definitely rough patches. Where, I was awake, but I didn't feel like doing absolutely anything. So now it's pretty level. Most of my day seems equal. I would say I'm best between nap 3 and core. Just as a person, like energy level wise, performance wise, I'd say I'm still better in the evening, but I've always kind of been like that. But that could be a bit of an illusion because there's so many things I'm restricted from doing between core and nap 1. So it could just feel that way.
Yeah, for sure. And how has polyphasic sleep affected your productivity?
Well, that's a bit of a tricky one. Obviously, I have more time, but aside from that, I would say not having the lingering tiredness is really good. And often, waking up from naps, you get that extra, surge. It's not just being energetic throughout the day. It's definitely a peak up. And you feel like you can kind of take on the world for a little bit. So I'd say overall, an increase on top of physically having more time.
That's also really cool to hear. Okay, well, I don't think I have any more questions for you. It has been really nice to talk to you. Do you have any tips for people who are interested to start a polyphasic sleep schedule?
From watching the Discord and the people I've talked to personally, I would say if you're not prepared to be insanely strict with the schedule you're starting with, it's probably not a good time to start it yet. It has to be the priority for at least a month, and preferably more like 60 days. And that's kind of why I started in February. I started looking into this in the winter because that's my off season. And I knew that's probably also why I was so strict with my adaptation, because this was my shot. And if I didn't adapt before my busy season started, it certainly wasn't going to be able to happen there.
Oh yeah, so you would have to wait another year to be able to adapt.
Basically. I could have tried throughout the spring, but when you have no control of your schedule, I don't think it would be very possible. I think being so strict was the key to success. there was no oversleeping in my adaptation. I had a wearable, I had my alarm, multiple alarms on my phone. I use the barcode, the Alarm-y Android app, and I have the barcode clear across my house, pinned to a bulletin board by my door. So I have to leave my bedroom and go over there to scan it with the camera, or my phone gets louder and louder and more obnoxious.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really good alarm setup. Do you use any other external devices, like some mechanical alarms, or have you gone rogue on the alarm setup?
I don't think I ever used mechanical alarms. It was always my phone, and then I had a Fitbit wearable with vibrating alarms, and that's all I ever had.
Okay.
I did buy an external alarm clock when I started, in case I needed it, but I'm a light sleeper, so maybe my experience is a little different. Like, there is no way I would sleep through an active alarm.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thank you. Do you have anything else to add, or should we say goodbye?
I cannot think of anything to add.
Okay, well, have a great day, and I'll be hearing from you later.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye.